Play ball! Welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast. I am your host and director of Dynasty Baseball over at FantasySixPack.net, Dave Eddy. You can find me on Twitter at Corporal Eddy. Before we get started, got to always ask you guys to make sure that you're subscribed. If not, please do so. And of course, make sure and go ahead and smash that like button. So with all that being said, folks, here we go. Man, gotta love that funky music, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Man, hey, guys, I am here, joined, of course, by our still resident heartthrob, Nick Zanaboni, and our resident hat wearer, Mr. Jason Beckner. They're joining me, as usual, here to talk some Dynasty Baseball with me. So say hello there, boys.
Hello.
Dave, Nick, how's it going?
Great.
I mean, dreaming about the days that we don't have a no-hitter to talk about. That'll be cool. I'm kind of getting tired. Like, I feel like 3-4 years ago, I'd be like, oh my God, guys, like, seriously, we just had no hitter. And now it's like, fucking Wade Miley with a no hitter, guys. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. Wade Miley, no hitter against Cleveland, 8 strikeouts, walked a batter. Little bit different of a no hitter this time, I suppose. Whiff rate of 19%, CSW percent of 28%, both the lowest of all the no-hitters so far this year. And we know from, Jason, talking about this a lot last week, 30% would be considered pretty good. So 28 in a no-hitter seems a little bit low, but hey, whatever. He had a 75% ground ball rate, however. That was by far the highest of all these no-hitters. So Wade Miley, he's not over there overpowering people. Just quite simply, not giving up hard contact. So like I said, we talked about no-hitter in every show. I really don't want to get into, a whole lot of this one. But what I'd like to do, though, is I want to ask you guys, I want to give you a chance to call your shot here and tell me who the next guy to throw no-hitter is going to be.
I'll take this one first.
Okay.
I'm starting to think I just jinxed myself. On this first episode of this podcast, I talked about how overrated no-hitters were and how much I hate them. And now each week I'm forced to talk about them. And at this point, it's just like, it's no longer special. It's he got a no-hitter, but then the next sentence is he could have had a perfect game if this didn't happen. Every single time now. But next no-hitter going to be Kevin Gausman of the Giants.
I like it. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Same.
He seems to be in the tier of pitchers
that
are getting these no-hitter. It's not the DeGroms. It's not the Coles. It is these like 3-4 guys that seem to be getting the shine, if you will.
No, that's perfect, because when I'm sitting there going through and I'm trying to look at some things and trying to pick my guy, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, it's got to be somebody kind of random, but a householdish kind of name, because it's not like we have absolutely nobody throwing no hitters. They're guys that but they're guys that you're like, huh, kind of. So no, I think Gausman's a real good one there.
Yeah, he's been limiting the hard contact, and Friday night he's playing the Pirates. So like. It's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I tended on looking for trying to nail the game too, like you did, and said, okay, let me look at matchups, who's facing the Tigers, kind of stuff. And I didn't go that route. I kind of just went based on a guy that I wanted to go for, and so I'm going Zach Wheeler. He's 152nd in my ranking, so probably a little bit too good, but that was the first guy I came across that wasn't super obvious. He actually just threw a complete game 3-hit shutout against the Brewers. So, he's recently had a very strong game. But like I said, it has to be someone that's a good pitcher, but a little on the random side. And I don't think people realize just how good, Wheeler is. Mm-hmm. So I think he's a guy that also makes sense. Throws very hard. doesn't give up a ton of contact. So I'm going to make my call on Zach Wheeler being the next no-hitter.
Good one.
That was a good one.
What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot my shot, and I'm going to go Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers.
Yeah, see, makes sense. I mean, Freddie Peralta was my backup. I thought about Freddie Peralta, and I thought, we've talked about him on the show recently.
Yeah.
I'm going to just go a different route. But, yeah, Woodruff is a good option, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the swing and miss capability. He's got a career 28% K rate, limits contact 73%, which is top 25 of the league. He doesn't quite own a complete game yet in his young career, but he's gotten close a couple times. May of 2019, he had an 8-inning, 1 hit versus Philly. And then 2 times in September of last year, he had 8 innings, 2 hits against St. Louis, and then 7 innings, 1 hit against the Cubs. And then even just a couple weeks ago against the Cubs, 7 innings, 1 hit. Plays in a relatively easy division. I don't know what his upcoming schedule is. I can't say that it might be this week or Brandon Woodruff, next no-hitter in 2021.
No, that makes sense. I mean, if anyone, he's got the best chance, so Woodruff's been amazing.
Yeah.
So next on the docket, we got some recent MLB call-ups. 2 most notable for dynasty purposes, I think, are Trevor Larnach and Jarred Kelenic. Larnach is already up. Kelenic is supposed to be called up, I believe, on Thursday. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but we spoke about Kelenic, quite a bit last week. But I want to know, what your guys' thoughts are now that, Kelenic is up. Or I'm sorry, now that, Larnach is up and Kelenic is officially on his way. Like, what kind of values are you thinking? What kind of career kind of outlook,
Yeah. I mean, these are 2 guys that I'm pretty excited about. With Larnach, they got Minnesota's got the injuries to both Buxton and Kirilloff. So the playing time's going to be there. He showed some decent pop in his bat in the minors. I'm kind of curious to see if those numbers kind of translate into the majors. He also has a great advanced approach to the plate. He's got a career 384 OBP in the minors. And then even dating back to his time at Oregon State, really good advanced approach to the plate. In his first game, the Twins batted him 5th. So, I mean, obviously they want to give him some advanced, some spot to earn some more, the bats that are going to matter versus someone, batting him 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that. So they clearly want to give him some meaningful at bats. So, I mean, to me, if you're in an OBP league or something like that, I mean, I think the outlook's pretty high for him. I'd say maybe, conservatively, maybe 20 home runs. And he's not going to huge power masher, but somebody with you're looking for some OBP and a little bit of home runs. I'd bank on that. And then, obviously Kelenic, I'm a huge Kelenic guy. Beyond pumped for this to be. We've been waiting for it since, basically last year, honestly.
Yeah.
The whole outfield in Seattle is struggling, so they obviously, this has been long overdue. It's going to get thrown right in the lineup. I would be surprised if, I don't know exactly where they'd put him. If I'd have to guess,
6.
maybe 6. If they really want to, throw him in their fire, I could see him putting possibly 3-4 hole right behind, right in front of Seager, give him a little protection.
Yeah.
Conservatively, though, I don't know if they want to, throw him right to the fire. So I'd say, more 5-6 area like Larnach.
Yeah,
but
that's my guess.
If the hitting continues at this level, I mean, there's no doubt he's going to be up in the 3-4 hole.
Yeah, he'll be. Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I'd start him, 6 because.
Yep.
But 6 or 7 maybe. I mean, because he's still going to be one of your better bats just right off the bat, and let him get his feet wet a little bit. I mean, a week or 2 and he might be in that 3 hole pretty quick. I mean, he doesn't feel like a guy that's going to come up and struggle. I don't know if he's going to come up and just go crazy, Trevor Story crazy.
Right.
Little dig on Trevor. But I don't think he's going to go Trevor Story crazy, with that crazy hot start. But it's possible. And so I think he's going to work his way right into the middle of that lineup pretty quickly. And then now we're waiting on the J-Rod show. Hopefully he'll be up. I don't know. That's probably more of a September-ish thing.
He's been singing,
I would think so.
Well, so what I've heard is because they have him in, I don't know if it's high A. High A. And what I had been seeing is that they have him in high A because it's very close to Seattle. And the thought is he's going to go to high A. He's going to jump to triple A and then come up. Okay. But I mean, unless Seattle's, in the heart of things, I don't see him coming up anytime soon. It's Kelenic's in a different, he's in a different level of readiness than J-Rod is for sure.
Right.
So he might be more of a September kind of thing. He may even be this time next year. I mean, if Seattle's just the dumpster,
probably.
What's the point? I mean, he'll probably be a September call up. I would assume, but he may not get a lot of playing time. And then, like I said, this time next year is when you might start to see him. I mean, I tell you, the more we talk about the Mariners, and then I start thinking about, and this is way off topic now, but now I'm thinking about, okay, well then where does that put Noelvi Marte? Like, is he a next September call up, and then 2 years from now we have Kelenic and J-Rod and Marte, and my heads are starting to turn and see. I don't know where Marte got assigned. I guess I hadn't seen that yet, but those are three guys that I am just huge on. Love what the Mariners have going on. But anyways, let's get to what's turning into kind of my favorite segment, actually, as we're going through and doing this, and that's our advanced stat of the week. And this one came up kind of just based on a little conversation we had. It wasn't even necessarily planned, but Nick was talking about Rafael Davis. He was talking about Bobby Dahlbeck and his struggles a little bit, and was asking if there was a stat maybe that could, help explain some struggles he had. And so Jason and I instantly went, oh, BABIP. So BABIP is batting average on balls in play. So it's really, really quite simple. It just measures a player's batting average exclusively on balls hit into the field of play, and removes outcomes that are not affected by the opposing defense. So a home run, for example, or a strikeout. So league average is right around about 300, okay? So when we talk about Bobby Dahlbeck, so unfortunately, if you're a Bobby Dahlbeck owner, you'd look at the BABIP and you'd see he's at 270. So, that would basically lead you to say a little bit unlucky, but not really so much. So, I mean, I bring it up, though, also because I think that this is a good example when you dig a little bit deeper into the numbers of why you don't use any singular stat, whether it's traditional or, advanced, to define a player. Because if you just stopped at his BABIP, you would think that, he's not really getting unlucky. He's just not hitting the ball very well this year. But like I said, I dig in a little bit and you find an average exit velocity that's in the 55th percentile. So a little bit above league average, but nothing crazy. Barrel rate is at 84th percentile. So getting good barrels. But it's this K rate that is killing him, I think, because you're looking bottom 9 percentile there. So when you kind of tie it all together, he's getting a little bit unlucky. But he's mostly doing it to himself just by not making contact. Because when he makes contact, it's good contact. He's just not making enough of it.
Yeah.
So then I started looking at some other guys and, some notable 2021 BABIPs. And so the leader in most categories, if I were to say, hey, who's the leader in whatever? Most
Mike
people
Trout.
lead, Mike Trout. Well, Mike Trout is a leader in BABIP. He's got a 500 average on balls in play. That's an awfully high number. And I guess you could look at that and say, oh, geez, well, yeah, Mike Trout's off to a hot start. But, geez, if half the balls he hits in play are going for a hit, of course he is. But this dude is just elite, man. He's in the top 95th percentile of pretty much any important advanced stat. So is he getting a little bit lucky? Yeah, I suppose. But is he hitting the shit out of the ball? Yeah. So, the harder you hit the ball, the better off you are. And then we go to his teammate, Jared Walsh, who's off to a pretty good start. His BABIP stood out to me. He's got a 410. So, quite a bit higher than league average. But when you start to look into some of his advanced stats, you start to see some room for regression. Stuff like, 25th percentile in hard hit rate. So he's not really actually hitting the ball that hard. It's just, finding holes. If we look on the opposite end of that spectrum, look at guys that are struggling. Nick had kind of brushed on this a little bit last week, but do you want to take a stab, Nick, at the lowest BABIP in the league? So theoretically, the guy who's getting the most unlucky in the league?
Can you give me a hint? What team?
Reds.
Suarez?
Yeah, Eugenio Suarez, 154 BABIP. So to me, that was not only the most notable guy that's been struggling, but also because he is at the absolute bottom. And when you look at his advanced stats, I'm not going to rattle them off because they weren't anything too noteworthy. But I mean, he was, his advanced stats were not very good. And the BABIP kind of follows along. So I would expect that he'd be a guy that, maybe we see, come back to more what we've seen the last few years. But he also is a guy, as us Tiger fans know, kind of came out of nowhere. So it is entirely possible that he just kind of
was he on
evaporates.
The Tigers?
Yeah, we traded him for Alfredo Simone. Who?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Who the hell is Alfredo Simone?
Yeah, exactly. So, Tigers fan know him very well. And then the other guy that I thought was notable on the bottom end of the spectrum is Freddie Freeman. I feel like that's somebody that people have brought up a lot, with his BABIP, but he's at a 193. So, he's been getting pretty unlucky in that regard. But, if you look at his stats, other than average, his stats are in good shape this year. So when you look at his BABIP, I really think that it kind of tells the story of why all the numbers look good. His on base is good, home runs are good, RBI, everything looks fine, but the average is down. You see the BABIP and you go, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. So that's kind of what BABIP is in a nutshell. Those are some guys that I thought were noteworthy. What do you want to add to my 25-minute rant there, Jason?
No, not much. Just other than just to kind of add on to that is just like all the other advanced stats you want to look at. It's just as where's an outlier at? You know what I mean? Like, okay, is this guy's 425 batting average? Let's see why. Okay, well, his BABIP is through the roof. That would be why. Or if a guy's struggling, you can go and look. That's like one of the stats where I almost kind of start there when I'm looking at someone's batting average is what their BABIP is, because that way you can kind of tell, is this something that's going to progress back to the way it should be? So again, like all the other advanced stats, you kind of look at them all and compile and kind of think mentally, like what possibly could be causing this inflated normal batting average. Sometimes it's BABIP, sometimes it's other reasons, but just some other notable guys. You mentioned already a bunch of them, but just a couple that help drill home the thing. Yermin Mercedes for the White Sox.
Yeah.
Huge start, right? Well, I mean, his BABIP is at 413.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely a regression coming there. Same with someone like Michael Taylor. I think it's those first 2-3 weeks in Kansas City was like, what's this guy doing? He's hitting home runs and stuff all of a sudden. Well, his BABIP was 358. So, I mean, obviously it doesn't take the home runs into account, but that's just kind of helps outline where some of the discrepancies might be coming in the batting average when you see somebody kind of producing more than they should be or producing where they shouldn't be. So, like Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think, Nick? Does that make sense to you?
I think this is one that I can fully understand.
Wow. It gets the heartthrob seal of approval?
That gets the stamp of approval.
All right. So what are you thinking then for next week? You got something in mind or you want us to surprise you?
Is there like a BABIP for pitchers?
Yeah, you want to know what it's called?
WOBA?
It's called BABIP.
Oh.
It's the exact same thing.
Same thing.
It's like so many of these stats. Like
what's Bacon?
Oh, so that's
what's
expected. WOBA? So WOBA is weighted on base average, right?
Yeah.
And so then Bacon is expected weighted on base average.
I see Jordan tweeting about it all the time from 30 Rock, and I just get so confused.
Well, he's from Finland, so
let's not. And he's always awake. He
sleeps because he sleeps whenever. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. He is always awake. You're right. I never know when I go to talk to him. I'm always like, I don't know what time it is there, and like I'll message him, and he'll be like, "Oh, hey man, I'm about to go to bed." I'm like, "Oh shit, that's right." Yeah. But then he'll message me at like 5 a.m. about something, and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" But oh no, maybe I'm confused.
It makes no sense, but he always answers.
Yeah, he always answers. It always seems like he's around. Whether it doesn't matter if I message him in the morning. Anytime we need a pun, I go into chat and Jordan's just always awake.
Yeah. So give me the Bacon thing next week.
Okay, you writing that down, Jason?
Yep, making a note of it right now.
All right, so that's what we'll do then. All right. So let's get on to some buy, sell, and hold. And we're going to start with Adolis Garcia. So rookie for the Rangers. And he's been off to a pretty nice start. He's came out of nowhere, really. I mean, this guy to start to start the season didn't even make my rankings. I wasn't even aware of him. Over 3 full years in the minor leagues, he's had an average season of 266 batting average. So, okay, but whatever. 308 on base percentage, so that's not too spectacular. 74 runs, 23 home runs, 77 RBIs, 13 steals. So nice little bit of power and speed, but the on base is kind of what worries me there. But those numbers didn't put him super high on anyone's radar, but he is absolutely tore up, relatively speaking, out of the gate this year. So X batting average 56 percentile, X slugging 82nd percentile, X WOBA 71 percentile, barrel percentage all the way up to the 95th percentile, which ties into his 87 percentile average exit velocity. In Nick terms, we're looking at 295 batting average, a little bit on the high side for what he's done in his career in the minors. 336 on base, not great, but better than what you would expect. He's got 9 home runs and 3 steals. So steals are probably on pace, maybe a little high, but the home runs are definitely high. So what do you guys think? Adolis Garcia, is he going to keep this up? Is he going to come back down to earth? Buy, sell, hold.
How long has he been in our notes for?
The first week.
So 4 weeks. This whole time, I thought we were talking about the Brewers Garcia. I had a whole.
We were.
The change.
He was in the notes for a while.
Okay. So
and then he kind of leveled out. He was off to a fantastic start. He kind of leveled out, so I got rid of him weeks ago. This is the first time that this guy's been in here.
Okay, this now makes more sense. But I would sell him just because it, like you said on the when we were just talking to like the three of us, it depends on like your makeup. If you're a team that's winning right now, can you afford to get rid of him? Because if he maintains this, it could screw you at the end of the season. So if I'm like a middle of the road team, you just go trade him. You can maybe get like a decent prospect back and hope for the best. But in reality, he's just another guy or a jag.
Probably.
Because like usually you can tell if someone's good. I understand there's like the Luke Voits or the – give me another example.
Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah. There's going to be an article next year on some site that's going to say, who's this year's Adolis?
Akil Baddoo.
Yeah, exactly. These guys, they're fine. But they're blips. Like, and few and far between. Like Voit seems real. This does not. So
that's why I feel those minor league numbers in there. I mean, obviously it's not apples to apples. But it is interesting just to kind of look back and I've said this numerous times that, I'm at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to taking minor league stats and making them mean something. But, it is interesting though, to see what someone has done over the long term, in the minors, and 3 years isn't like forever, but that's normal for the minor leagues, and then see how they're starting off and going, oh, wait a minute, if this guy was just under the radar somehow, but he was hitting 45 bombs for the last 3 years, and just for some reason nobody heard of him, this may make more sense. Yeah. But you start to look at, some of his advanced stats and you see it being very similar to what he was doing in the minors. Like that on base percentage for how, hot he is, it's not good. Right. And it's not a coincidence that, 1,200, 1,500 plate appearances in the minors,
his
on base percentage was just over 300. I mean, that tells you a lot. That's not a coincidence. And then even with his hot start, you see, that on base is, just over 330, and that's not too spectacular. But I mean, these days, if you can get, stolen bases out of people and you got a guy, jacking homers all over the place, ride him while he's hot, I guess. Yeah. I mean, who knows, man? Home runs and stolen bases in this day and age are things that I think you can maintain. He's not going to hit 295, but you know what? Mm-hmm. if the major league average is like 230 right now and he ends up hitting you 240 or 225 even, if you can get 20 out of him, I think that's valuable. I mean, it's not, top 100 kind of player, but if you're in a 30-team league like we are, that's an extraordinarily valuable, asset to have. And even in a more standard league, 12, 14 teams, I mean, maybe he's a bench guy. It depends on your exact team, but he's probably a starter, It's just a matter of what you feel like the wheels are going to fall off.
He'll get popped for PEDs soon.
You know what? That's you might be right. I mean, would any of us be shocked if next week we go, all right, well, we didn't have a no-hitter, but I think it was Colton Welker of the Rockies. I thought he was going to make the opening day roster. And when was it? 2 or 3 days ago, I saw news. I saw news on him, and I thought, oh, cool, he must have got called up. All right, cool. So I go and look. Nope, he got popped for PEDs. Fuck. Like that's the exact opposite of what I.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Garcia's, year by year breakdown, I mean, it's just mediocre. And then you get to 2019, right? And just the stats are eye popping: 32 bombs, 96 RBIs, 96 runs, 14 stolen bases.
Get out of here.
Where'd that all of a sudden come from, right? So I mean, I don't want to, say that he, like I said, I don't want to say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised.
He's doing steroids.
So we're calling
also got
Adolis Sammy Garcia.
Yeah. Always be wary of the mid-career breakout, man, especially for a guy that was like a 4th and 5th outfielder in organizational depth.
I mean, the one thing I will say is I had no idea how old he was until I looked into him today. He could have been 22. He could have been 35. I didn't know, and he's 28. And to me, that does make some sense. I mean, 27, 28 is when guys are at their prime.
Yeah. I'm almost 28.
Yeah, but you're way, way into your prime. You've been into your prime for weeks now, buddy. Yeah. But, he is 28. It is entirely possible because his minor league numbers were nothing to scoff at. They just didn't stand out.
Right.
I don't think it's going to last all year like this. But again, if he finished the year, 240, 22 home runs and, 22 steals and whatever on the runs and RBIs, you'd say, wow, that was a productive season. He fell off at the second half, but boy, he really had a hot first start,
Absolutely.
So let's get into more of a household name here for buy, sell, hold. We got Fransisco Lindor, and I don't have to really talk too much, about his struggles. I think everybody knows that he's been struggling. When I looked at the advanced numbers, they're not good. But that is like off the cliff is maybe I would have thought so. XwOBA 38th percentile, X batting average 24th percentile. I have a typo on the X slug. I don't know if it's supposed to be 52 or 21. I'm assuming it's 21 because 52 wouldn't make sense. 26% on the barrel. So all of that is obviously, well below league average and completely is, going to produce the stats that we're seeing. Now, on the good side of things, I consider Lindor to be an elite player, and he does have some important elite metrics. So 95th percentile in K rate, so he's not striking out. 88th percentile in walk rate. So not only is he not striking out, but he's walking well. So that tells me, he's seeing the ball well. He still has, elite vision, which is backed up by a 93 percentile in whiff rate as well. So all of that tells me he's just not doing much with any contact that he's making. So when you extrapolate all that out, we got traditional stats, $194 on the batting average, 315 on base. He's got 15 runs scored, hit 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a stolen base. So what do you guys think with all that there for Fransisco Lindor, whom we all probably know and enjoy?
Jason?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold. I mean, obviously you're gonna try and buy, but I'm not sure the other Lindor owner is quite freaking out just yet. But the struggle is real right now. But like you said, he's not striking out a ton, but his BABIP is only 205, and he's still drawing a ton of walks. So he's contributing in the OBP leagues. He's still hitting the balls the same as he did in the past. So there's not really been a huge dip in his average exit velo, but he's just not getting the barrels, not getting the sweet spot. I kind of looked into it a little bit further, just kind of see where maybe he was some outliers on where he was struggling, and it seems like he's just becoming more selective at the plate, just trying to be more patient, maybe draw some walks, but it's also causing him to miss out maybe on some of the better pitches on the first, second pitch fastballs. Another thing that I kind of noticed is that maybe kind of monitored too is it looks like he's almost kind of struggling a little bit more against velocity. He's only hitting 236 against fastballs right now, where in years past he hovered right around the 300 mark against fastballs. So I don't know if he's just maybe struggling with the velo or he's just swinging at the bad, up and in, or fastballs and stuff like that. Just something kind of mind. I know it's a small sample size so far in 2021, but that was one of the things that kind of stood out with me was the struggles against fastballs. But yeah, I'm holding him for now to see if he'll rebound. He'll rebound for sure.
Yeah, for sure he will. I guess the longer it goes, the worse the stats are going to look at the end of the year. So this may be a down year for Fransisco Lindor when it's all said and done, but I don't think he's going to end up putting up numbers like this. That average will definitely get up. The steals will get up. The home runs will get. It'll correct itself to some extent. It's just a matter of when does he break out of the funk and what do those final numbers look like. They might not look like your MVP type numbers, but they're gonna eventually get up there. I think
the key is going to be buying him in the off season because people are going to look at his numbers saying, oh shit, he only batted 275, but because they're going to forget that he had a monster second half. Or you sell it after the monster second half. It's really up to you. But I'm going to hold. He's one of the best shortstops in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you wanted to sell and take the opportunity, especially if you're going to just, flop him, for another shortstop. Shortstop is so deep that you probably could take the majority of the teams in your league unless you're in some crazy 30-teamer, and you could get another shortstop for him and maybe add a piece or something. So, but if you do sell him, I'm going to imagine you're going to have a hard time getting, the value that you would want for him. If someone's going to try to get him right now, they're going to try to get him because they think they can come on the cheaper side. So if you do sell him, you might still, you're going to have a lot of options, but I don't know if they're going to be the kind of options that you're looking for. Exactly.
I'm going to try and get him in 30 Rock this week. I will return. I will.
I guess I could. I'm pretty loaded at shortstop these days.
Yeah, you got Trevor Story, I see.
We're making splashes over here on at the 30 Rock. The on deck circle is, I see.
And how random
Mookie Betts?
What's that?
Not the Mookie Betts trade.
No, I tried.
I did too. He wanted Adley and C.J. Abrams and a first, and then he took fucking Brennan Davis. Get the hell out of here with that.
I don't know, man. Any deal that doesn't involve Willie Calhoun gets a big old thumbs down for me. You know what I mean? If you can't get the Willie, you can't get my you can't get my approval. I'm all about the Willie, baby.
That's right.
All right, guys. Let's move on here to the final diss. As much as I want to give you guys a hard time, I don't think I have anything super extraordinary.
Dang.
It's been a good show the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good talk. I guess I'm pretty good at giving a diss to myself. So if anything, I'd say I probably went on and on too much about the BABIP. I probably should have gave Jason a little more run on that sense. It's kind of supposed to be. It's kind of supposed to be his segment. I'm just kind of supposed to set it up. And I had too many notes in there. And I guess as long as Nick walks away understanding BABIP, then I guess it's fine. But I think I probably went out a little too long.
Yeah, we learned.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to take a page out of Nick's book and forgo my final diss this week. And I'm just going to make a shout out. I know we talked last week about the mental health awareness and just another kind of further on into that. If you guys haven't heard about, if you don't know who Drew Robinson is.
Awesome story.
Yeah. So this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, the E60 documentary. He's luckily a failed suicide attempt, kind of left him without an eye. I won't delve into too many details. You can watch the story for yourself. And he actually just made the AAA roster for San Francisco Giants. So a great story.
And he lost an eye? I don't know the story.
Oh, yeah.
He's a hitter?
He's
a hitter.
He was a decent player.
Yeah.
and then we kind of like washed out, and then
I don't want to get into
really is crazy.
It's crazy. You should watch it. I don't want to get into too many details, but I will say
Wow.
he tried to commit suicide and then ended up sitting in his house for like 3 days without an eye. So
Yeah, it was nuts.
go ahead and watch the story on E60 this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. A huge shout out.
How the hell do you hit with one eye?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I was shocked too. He hasn't played competitive baseball since 2019, so he is,
All right.
he's on the
When is
AAA.
it? When is it on again? Say
This
that again.
Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central,
Yeah.
ESPN.
Okay.
Highly recommend.
Yeah,
I'll have
crazy
to check.
story.
I literally
Great
don't know who
story.
that is.
Yeah, check it out. Everyone check it out. It's a great story.
My final diss will be a Dave. He did not let us plug our shit this week.
Ooh,
Well,
yeah,
that's not my fault.
good one. Good one. Yeah,
I didn't
You
realize.
jumped right in. Hey,
I didn't
you
realize
jumped right in.
you weren't capable of speaking up for yourself.
All right, well, I'm gonna do it right now. My Dynasty Player of the Week
please
comes
do.
out tomorrow morning. It's Lucas Giolito. I
okay.
traded for him this week. Find out for who in the article.
Nice. Love it. Love it.
But he's not your next no hitter, which makes a ton of sense. I got
Yeah.
it.
Jason,
All right.
plug your shit.
Oh, yeah. You can find me at fantasysixpack.net, on Twitter at JRBex.
Beautiful. See
All
you
right.
guys next
Well,
week.
I guess with that being said, I guess check out those articles that apparently I didn't give them the opportunity to talk
You
about.
did.
Shame on me. And same time next week, everyone.
Later,
Yep.
boys.
Later, boys.
False start.